If you take a close look at your bank account on the very first day of the month, you might notice something strange. Before you even have a chance to breathe, before you can step outside or buy a single cup of coffee, a significant portion of your income is already gone. It has been legally claimed by institutions you rarely think about for products you might not even use anymore. You did not make a mistake. You did not miscalculate your budget. You are simply experiencing the precise intended output of a highly sophisticated, invisible architecture. We are taught to believe that financial failure is a personal defect. We are told that going into debt is the result of poor discipline, uneducated choices, or a lack of self-control. But the reality is far more disturbing. The system was explicitly designed to bypass your intellect. It was built to transform your future time into someone else's immediate liquidity. If you have ever looked at a balance sheet with a sudden sense of quiet panic, you have already met the mechanism. It is the invisible debt engine. The process usually begins with an exceptionally quiet physical action. You are sitting at a desk or lying on a couch late at night, staring at a high-resolution screen. You have an item in a digital shopping cart. It is something you want, but perhaps do not strictly need. The total price at the bottom of the screen creates a brief flash of hesitation. Your brain calculates the cost against your current balance, and a subtle psychological friction emerges. This friction is what economists call the pain of paying. For decades, this pain was a protective barrier. It was the physical act of handing over paper cash or watching a number drop significantly in a ledger. But then you notice a small green or blue button directly beneath the total. It offers a simple alternative: 3 installments with 0% interest. Suddenly, the large, intimidating number disappears. It is replaced by a figure so small it feels completely harmless. It looks like the price of a modest lunch. Your brain registers this change not as a commitment of future labor, but as a discount in the present moment. You click the button. The transaction is complete in less than 2 seconds. The screen flashes a comforting message of confirmation. You feel an immediate wave of satisfaction. What you do not feel is the microscopic wire being attached to your next 90 days of physical existence. This is the exact moment the behavioral mirror reveals itself. You tell yourself that splitting a payment is a strategic move. You believe you are being smart, utilizing financial flexibility to keep your immediate cash flow intact. It feels like an act of modern efficiency. But 3 weeks later, the interface resets. You are on a different application, looking at an entirely different product. Perhaps it is a subscription service, a piece of software, or a flight ticket. The same small button appears. And because the first installment felt so unnoticeable, you click it again. You repeat this micro-surrender 4, 5, or 6 times across different platforms. In isolation, each decision looks perfectly logical. Each monthly fraction seems trivial. But the underlying architecture does not look at these decisions in isolation. It aggregates them. It waits silently for the first day of the calendar month to combine these harmless fragments into a massive structural weight. When you open your banking application to see your salary arrive, you are not looking at a blank canvas of economic opportunity. You are looking at a pre-allocated spreadsheet. You are looking at an explicit record of hours you have already lived and worked but can no longer claim. The true genius of the modern debt engine is that it no longer relies on heavy intimidation or high-interest loans to trap you. The traditional loan sharks of the past century have been replaced by clean, minimalist user interfaces designed in Silicon Valley. These platforms spend hundreds of millions of dollars researching cognitive psychology for a single purpose: to eliminate friction. Every millimeter of a modern checkout screen is engineered to decouple the act of consumption from the reality of work. When money becomes an abstract digital concept separated from physical currency, your brain loses its ability to accurately measure scarcity. The interface makes the acquisition of a commodity instant while rendering the extraction of your wealth completely invisible. They did not make payments easier to help your budget. They made them easier so your brain would not register the pain of losing capital. You are systematically encouraged to borrow against unearned hours to sustain a present lifestyle that the system itself has normalized. Let us pause for a moment to consider an older version of this exact mechanism. In the late 19th century, industrial mining towns across America operated on a system known as the company store. Mining corporations did not pay their laborers in government currency. Instead, they paid them in private script token coins that could only be redeemed at stores owned by the company itself. The prices in these stores were artificially inflated. Because the workers could not save actual money, they were forced to buy their food, clothes, and tools on credit advanced by the employer. Before the month even ended, the worker was already trapped in a cycle of permanent deficit. They could not leave the town because they legally owed their future labor to the institution that housed them. The famous folk song captured this reality with a single line, "I owe my soul to the company store." It was an explicit, overt form of economic bondage that eventually led to massive labor revolts and federal prohibition. The system did not disappear. It adapted. The next layer is already operating. Today, you do not live in an isolated mining town, and no one forces you to use corporate script. Instead, you carry the company store natively inside your pocket. The modern fintech interface is the virtualization of the script system. It does not require physical guards or legal contracts to keep you compliant. It uses push notifications, personalized algorithms, and artificial intelligence to monitor your emotional state. The corrupted ledger is no longer a dusty book in a plantation office. It is a cloud-based credit scoring matrix calculating your precise threshold of financial stress. The system knows the exact hour of the night when your resistance to spending drops to zero. It tracks your location history, your battery percentage, and your historic panic purchases to adjust the visibility of credit options on your screen. You are granted the total illusion of absolute freedom while navigating a beautifully rendered digital panopticon designed to capitalize your entire lifetime. The institutional architecture behind this is staggering. The rise of buy now, pay later platforms is not a consumer trend. It is a fundamental shift in how the global economy generates profit. As real wages flatline against productivity across the Western world, corporations faced a catastrophic problem. How do you keep people consuming products when they no longer have the actual liquidity to buy them? The solution was to financialize the consumer themselves. If the customer cannot afford the item, you do not lower the price. You sell them the money to buy it. You transform every retail transaction into a micro-financing event. The merchant willingly pays a percentage to the credit platform because they know that removing friction increases the average basket size by over 40%. The entire modern retail economy is now propped up by the structural monetization of anticipation. We are working jobs we frequently despise to purchase items we do not need with money we have not yet earned to impress a digital audience we will never meet. This brings us to the modern echo. The debt engine has seamlessly integrated into the very fabric of our computational reality. It is no longer just about credit cards or installment buttons. It has merged with the algorithmic attention market. The platforms that manage your social feed are directly connected to the systems that manage your capital. When an algorithm detects that you are experiencing professional burnout or social anxiety, it does not suggest rest. It suggests a commodity. It populates your feed with hyper-targeted aesthetic spaces, products, and lifestyles that promise to solve the exact internal deficit you are feeling. And at the bottom of that exact post, the debt engine is waiting with its seamless checkout interface. The cycle is completely self-sustaining. The work makes you tired. The tiredness makes you vulnerable to consumption. The consumption requires credit. The credit forces you back to the work. It is a closed-loop architecture where your psychological vulnerability is directly converted into corporate yield. The danger of this system is not that it will cause a sudden catastrophic bankruptcy. The danger is that it functions perfectly. It is designed to keep you precisely at the edge of your financial tolerance. It wants you alive, productive, and functioning, but permanently deficit-financed. It wants you to have just enough capital to cover the minimum payments while ensuring you never accumulate enough equity to buy back your autonomy. True wealth is not the possession of commodities. True wealth is the unencumbered ownership of your own time. When every hour of your next 2 years is already monetized to pay for your past surrenders, you lose the structural capability to make radical choices. You cannot leave a toxic corporate position. You cannot start an independent venture. You cannot afford to pause. You are locked into absolute compliance because the alternative is systemic default. The ultimate output of the invisible financial architecture is not a collection of consumer goods. It is a perfectly predictable, highly manageable, completely domesticated human asset. The system did not disappear. It adapted. The next layer is already operating.